I can't believe it, but summer's always over. It's over. It's the fall time. Equinox is happening all over the pond. It's crazy. Draped in Gold, your one-stop shop for NXT UK, NXT Talk. I'm Flobo Boyce. Thank you so much for being here with me live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. And of course, if you're on that Twitch, drop me a follow. But as always, I'm not alone. I'm being joined by the man who's been tearing it up on the Mac Mania podcast, championship wrestling from Hollywood, Santino Brothers, and more, and that delightful show, Anytime Radio. Give it up for the real Jack Farmer.
How are you going to bring me onto this show and not tell me about all the different production upgrades you just did? That intro, the background, if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube or wherever. Yeah. I mean, I had no idea about
this. Try to make things fun.
I saw the countdown. I was like, what's this countdown? And then this Marvel MCU style intro to the show. Oh, holy camole. This is crazy.
It's all worth it now. It's all worth it. What up, man?
That's incredible. I loved it.
Oh, thanks, Freddie. I want to make sure that if you didn't like it, it'd be kind of awkward. So I'm glad you did.
Yeah, though it does make the whole name of the show, Draped in Gold, seem like it no longer applies if gold is no longer the predominant color of NXT.
I wonder why WWE never sued me, and now I know. They had it planned, man. They just knew. They're like, gold, right. Huh, sucker?
Right. Yeah, actually, the Draped in Gold concept is now completely gone from NXT at this point, just because not only the branding, but the group and the leader of the group and everything is just sort of taken from it. So, yeah, Draped in Gold is really an old reference.
Hell yeah. Woo, double down.
Soon we're going to sound like the AWA podcast or something where it's all just references to something that's hasn't been around in a long time.
Right, the bear hug finish. Let's talk about NXT UK.
That's a great name for a show.
Yo, trademark that now. That's how we can take it.
The bear hug finish.
Let's what's up, Lamb's in the chat here on that Twitch. Thank you so much. Draped in color. I like it. We should probably do that. Trademark that as well.
That sounds like a different show.
Hey, what up, Adam? What up? So NXT UK started out pretty strong as they always do. Main event triple threat with the winner being the number one contender to Ilya Dragunov's NXT United Kingdom Championship. My pick to win it was actually Nathan Frazier. I know, I'm crazy. But A-Kid said, how dare you count me out? Jack Farmer, we talked about the match on Twitter. We both loved it, but did the right man persevere?
This match was fantastic. If this was shown on any other show that had a few more eyeballs, we'd be putting this up there with like a match of the year contender. This was incredible. This was amazing. All three of these guys deserve a huge round of applause. Similar to you, Flobo, I actually had Rampage picked because I always say, when you have a match like this and one person has a measurable that's so much higher than everyone else's, Rampage in this case, the strength and the size, you got to back them. But A-Kid, again, constantly, week in and week out, saying, you got to quit underestimating me. A-Kid saying, you got to quit counting me out. You got to start saying that A-Kid is now. He is the guy. He proved it today. Whether it's him winning the Heritage Cup in the first place, whether it's him beating Jordan Devlin and now getting one over Frazier and Rampage Brown. A-Kid, my God, he is the guy.
You said it right. About a year ago now, the Heritage Cup came out. A-Kid was the first winner. We were like, we're not so sure, but he came in, became bona fide, and now he's a new number one contender. So Ilya Dragunov is probably watching in the theoretical monitors backstage. I'm not sure if they have that in UK. Who do you got, though, for the eventual matchup? Ilya has to exert his dominance as NXT United Kingdom champion, but A-Kid may be the hottest person on the brand right now.
There's the guys who hold the NXT UK title have a history of holding on to it for a very, very long time. But look, I'm looking at Dragunov right now, who just got done with an absolute war, and he's still got to be sore. He's still got to be beat up. I don't know when he's going to have to defend it again or when this match is going to happen, but he still has to be feeling the pains of that match with Walter, where A-Kid, like I said, We got to quit underestimating him. We got to quit calling him the underdog. This is his match to win. He can beat anybody anytime. I know Dragunov hasn't had a chance to defend that title yet, but I'm done, Flobo. I am done counting A-Kid out. I'm done thinking of him as an underdog. I am done assuming he won't get the win. A-Kid, I'm backing him in this one.
Well, because I'm incredibly salty that Nathan Frazier didn't win, I'm totally calling Dragunov's going to retain when they actually have their eventual matchup. I'm just being that guy. Sorry.
But I mean, that's the thing. Look, Dragunov's as brutal as they come, but I look back to A-Kid's match with Jordan Devlin and how Devlin worked that knee and even damn near broke it. It looked like that one time. Just me and you. And we're not sitting next to each other.
All right. Totally be enemies.
Right. Yeah, they could do the thing where they go to one side of the crowd and like, is this crowd excited? One of us.
Got it.
But no, I definitely want to go see these guys live. I can't wait till they get live again. And I think you and I need to make a trip over there some way, somehow, and see them live. But to Elliot Fletcher's point, I mean, yeah, Dragunov, clearly the safe bet. You always bet on the champion. That's typically the rule of thumb. I'm just saying, when you look at the way things are stacking up, I look at someone like a Dragunov. Like I said, he's still got some big gash in his forehead, probably. He still probably feel like he still has red handprints all over his chest, all over his back. He's still recovering. If A-Kid gets this match right away, if he gets it soon, I think he's going to get a Dragunov that isn't 100%. And if you're not 100%, you're not beating A-Kid. It's that simple.
That's actually pretty smart strategy, right? Just roll into it. Like, I want to challenge him right now. Sit and make the match, because where's Johnny Saint? No idea where that guy is. Hasn't come to work in like 4 months. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, still somehow gets more done than William Regal.
Yeah, how'd he do it? I guess he has like a BlackBerry or something. I have no idea. Elsewhere in NXT UK land, we had a match in the women's division, one of the most peculiar ones. And I'll mention why in a second. Isla Dawn and Ginny had a matchup because Isla Dawn was hanging out in her locker room, and Ginny made her pay for it. But the thing is, Isla seems to be okay with losing. Smiles on her face. He has a grander plan happening, Jack. I don't know if you like mystical fisticuffs, but what's going on with Isla Dawn?
Mystical Fisticuffs is the name of the album of our band, Flobo. Our band is our first album is Mystical Fisticuffs.
I like it.
So this one, what I really loved about Isla Dawn here, she was aggressive. She just went after Ginny, and she had this match won. I'm kind of glad it went the way it did, though. I'm glad Ginny got the win, because I think it's just unfair when people like Isla Dawn cheat the way they do and use foreign objects, because technically, I don't know if you know this, but if you go to the rule books and you flip to page 635, it says witchcraft is considered a foreign object and therefore illegal in matches. So I am glad that Isla Dawn didn't sneak that one by the referee.
So you trying to tell me that Oz or the original Malachi were just totally illegal performers to begin with, but they had contracts, they were sanctioning their matches, but Isla Dawn is not?
Yes, it was just like Raven's rules in WCW. It was allowed when they did it, but technically speaking, in the official rule book, witchcraft is illegal. They addressed this. It's very clear.
This is why I get for doing a Raven reference on Twitter today, but that's fine.
It is why. You did remind me of that, by the way. That was actually a clever tweet, by the way. If you're not following Flobo on Twitter, you got to follow him at Flobo Boyce.
Yeah, I love it.
But Ginny showed it's not necessarily the kind of damage and offense you're putting in, but sometimes it's just the patience to wait for your moment and take advantage of it.
So here's the deal. I know you're a big Jenny fan. You're a Jenny, a big Jenny supporter. You know Joseph Connors. You are a big fan of that guy too. Jenny finally gets a win back after, I think, losing her last 2 matches in a row. And I always ask you this, what's next for her? You're going to tell me the title. But I think that line, Tomato Sakamura, is kind of crowded these days. You are Jenny. You beat Isla Dawn. Who will be next immediately on your docket?
Now, if you're a matchmaker, if you're Sid or you're the one putting this stuff together, as you mentioned, a win over Isla Dawn at this point, unfortunately, doesn't actually mean a whole lot. She is on a bit of a losing streak. So I don't know if a win over her puts you in that title picture just yet. I think maybe if you're Ginny, you say, who's the person who seems to be the gatekeeper to Sotomura right now? And that's Mackenzie. You go after her and you see if you can get a win over her. And that would earn you the right to have a shot at the champion, I would believe. That would be the quickest way to that shot, I would say. Something, by the way, you mentioned Joseph Connors. I loved this line he said in the middle of the match. He said to Isla Dawn, "You don't touch me and you don't touch Ginny," which I think is funny to say when she's in the middle of a wrestling match with Ginny.
Like hands off, right?
Hands off. You're not
mind control.
A wrestling match where you're not allowed to touch the other person.
Touch the Queensberry rules. We're back, guys. That's what we're saying. Well, Lamb says Isla had her eyes on Joseph Connors, and he had eyes on her. That'd be interesting to us, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think what she needs to do is to work magic on Joseph Connors. She's gonna need some music, maybe something a little more interesting than just
that kind of magic, eh?
The magic. Take my breath away.
That's the first song you do when you try to seduce somebody? What are you doing?
Isn't that what they play on every 80s
romantic son of a dude?
When they look at each other?
They do.
Me, bearded barley.
Guys, the show is over. It's all Jack karaoke from now on. It's a Jack karaoke show. So I agree with you. I think Isla Dawn has some dope moves. Let's kind of see what happens next. Is she going to challenge a third person? Is she like crafting a new spell, getting locks of hairs? Only time will tell.
Well, that's actually, if I could jump in real quick, that's actually interesting because she did take some stuff from Ginny. Who are the other people she's taken stuff from?
Did she take a lock of hair from Danny Luna?
Danny Luna, Ginny. Was there someone else? I think there was someone else, right?
Not I can remember. Lamb, do you know this? If you Lamb,
was it Nina Samuels or someone she took their hair from?
She took hair from Danny as well. So I'm not sure what she's doing.
Because I'm trying to figure out if there's a common thread amongst all these people, whether it be Danny or Ginny or who else it could be. I wonder if there's a common thread and maybe we could connect the dots and see.
I'm trying to think what she could possibly conjure. A new title? Like what? Like what could possibly be anything of use in this universe?
To conjure up a title.
I have no idea. Shop Zone. Yeah. I have no idea what that means.
Double, toil and trouble.
It is Halloween
as she brews up a title. It's the old Fiend title.
We're off the rails. The Fiend. It's actually his face. We're done. Elsewhere in the women's division, Blair Davenport has an ultimatum for Sid Scala, and that's reinstate me. Now, she has been running amok, as Evan Mack would say on the Mac Mania podcast, but Sid has been hiding in his office without nary a response. Jack Farmer, you're a fan of Blair Davenport. Is she doing the right thing here?
I think she should be reinstated. Absolutely.
What?
I think she served her time. It's time to get her back in the ring. It's time to get her wrestling again. I think Sid needs to realize that you can't stop greatness, and that's what he's trying to do with Blair Davenport. Let Blair Davenport wrestle, I say.
She beat up a assistant general manager. You can get some that should be grounds for some sort of suspension.
No, I think the general manager needs to learn how to defend himself if he's going to get beat up like that.
It's an office job, Jack.
Hire Samoa Joe to protect you. That's what you got to do something. But no, Blair Davenport is too good to keep on the shelf. She's too good to keep on the bench. She deserves to be on TV. She's earned this right being as good as she is. I don't care who she attacked. That's just it's collateral damage. Blair Davenport, put her in a match.
So wrong. And thanks, Len, for the update on Dawn. He says she took hair from Danny, entered Jenny's locker room, and had a weird moment with Kaylee Ray. So
Kaylee Ray was the one I was thinking of.
Absolutely. Also, in the women's side, you will love this because Danny Luna is just innocently having a workout where Zaya Brookside comes out of nowhere to challenge her to a match, and I felt myself disagreeing with Jack just a little bit. It was like, yo, when I'm working out, don't bother me. Don't ask me how I'm feeling. Don't try to challenge me to things. What was she doing, Jack?
Isn't it the worst when you're at the gym, you got your headphones on, you're in the zone, you're in the middle of a lift, and someone comes over and is like, hey, howdy, how you doing? What are you up to? How's your day been?
Bold of you to assume that I lift, but thank you.
What a jerk. Okay, so Flobo, don't you hate it when you're on the elliptical? And
yes, totally.
You're doing your ski motions.
The mountainside needs me. No, I got you.
and someone comes over and they want to chat. This is what Zaya Brookside does. She just gets in people's way. She just stops them from being great. Next, she's going to say, hey, Danny Luna, do you want to clean a bathroom or something? That's
okay.
This is what
right.
Zaya Brookside does. She interrupts people. She gets in their way. She gets in their flow, and she stops them from being great. She needs to stay out of their way. Let Danny Luna do her lifting. Let her do her workout. You know what? That could have been an email.
Okay, I actually agree with you. But that leads me another question. Because I know for months upon months you stood on the show and were like, Regal, he does nothing. He sucks. But now you're literally having an environment where everyone's booking their own matches on NXT UK. How can you support this? This is a problem.
Well, I don't support it. Obviously, Sid got taken out by Blair Davenport.
Yes, so you want him to reveal.
Look, I don't see William Regal sitting there with a neck brace on after being attacked, still trying to get things done. Sid, he's still trying to get business done. I mean, maybe it's not as fast as it was because, again, he's injured, and he is just the assistant to the general manager. He doesn't even have the same power, but don't compare these two.
While we're on the subject of subculture, Sam Gradwell had a little bit of fun with them, assuming, allegedly, we can't determine, but it seems as if he defaced one of their cool and rad graffiti murals, Jack. What's Sam Gradwell's problem? He's going after everybody? Is he the loose cannon of NXT UK?
See, his problem, I thought he made that design look so much better. I thought it looked cool that way.
No, it didn't.
How are you supposed to be this subculture? Like, no, it's not the right way. Come on, like it's graffiti art. You're supposed to make it cool. Sam Gradwell made that mural look cool and not all dorky like it did look. Yeah, they freaked out. Oh no, our graffiti's not perfect. We can fix it. Come on.
Look, man, it's like this. I hate the fact you defend this guy and Eddie Dennis every single week. Their heinous actions shall not go rewarded.
Heinous. Like I said, he gave subculture a little bit of edge with his artistic integrity added on, with him just using how he felt and his emotion in his art instead of this mathematically perfect logo that subculture was going for. I think if you were to have a graffiti contest, anyone would agree that Gradwell's contributions were what made that piece stand out.
Boo. Our last match of the day is actually our first match of the day. Heritage Cup tournament action. Wolfgang against Teoman. And we were on this show last week. And Jack says, quote, you got to go with Teoman. You have to look at Wolfgang's shoulder. But you were wrong. Gallus boys on top because Wolfgang wins this one in a very emphatic fashion with a spear and a cable toss. So, bam, he moves on, takes it on Noam Dar at the finals. So, thoughts about the match?
Wolfgang took it to Teoman more than anyone has ever taken it to him. In fact, I thought there were times. One, I was actually thinking, have we seen a first-round pin in the Heritage Cup yet?
I don't believe so. I'll try thinking about that, but I don't think I've seen a first-round pin. Lamb, if you could go back to the first tournament, let me know. But I'm pretty sure it hasn't happened before.
And so, I mean, he took it to Teoman, and there were times I didn't know if Teoman was going to be able to finish. He was barely hanging in his corner. He was beaten down. He seemed gassed out in a lot of places after just having to fight for his life through those opening contests. But I was right. It was the shoulder that played a huge part in this match and the way he worked it over. And I think he could have gotten the win if not for Matt Coffey on the outside causing all these problems and getting involved with on the outside and distracting everybody. I think Teoman should have won. That said, because of the shenanigans on the outside, it didn't go the way that I would have thought. So we put an asterisk on it. It's fine. And Noam Dar versus Wolfgang. Noam Dar, though, I think he's going to be able to finish what Teoman started.
You're such a Mark Coffey hater. So Lamb says, I don't think there hasn't been a first round
pin. I said Matt Coffey, didn't I?
But you're still a hater of him. Doesn't matter what his name is.
Yeah.
You said his name wrong on purpose. You're like, yeah, whatever, John Coffey. I hate your guts. That's
no. I misspoke. I apologize.
So next week, or I think, next week, you said Noam Dar against Wolfgang. You're right. That shoulder is a big X factor, despite the fact Wolfgang won today. Noam Dar has a cerebral advantage. But then stepping back, we asked this question pretty recently now, Jack, about Gallus. Whatever happens in this tournament, even if they win the cup, something has to change fundamentally. But the Gallus boys.
Yeah, this is lose-lose for Gallus. They're in a very bad spot. Like I said, I think if Gallus loses, then that's just another loss hung on a team that used to run the division. Another loss on a team that seemed unstoppable. If they win, again, I don't know if the Coffee Boys are going to be too happy if Wolfgang is the guy holding the title. I think Joe Coffey in particular likes being the head of that group. And he can't say he's the head of the group if someone else is a champion and he's not. So, I think in the moment, the win would feel good for Wolfgang, but long term, I really worry about Gallus, regardless of what happens. I think that the damage to this group may be too much for them to overcome.
Side note, if you guys are into wrestling themes, Wolfgang solo theme slide, one of my favorites. But it raises another point. Gallus boys, after the win, were hanging out in Jordan Devlin's dressing room, which seems to have really substandard security. Because Jordan Devlin's like, hey, what you guys do in my dressing room? And, well, things ensue. And next week we have the Iron King Joe Coffey against Irish Ace Jordan Devlin in NXT UK. Jack, I'm not going to ask you who you got because it's going to be a banger. But before I do ask you who you got, I'm going to say, why are Gallus doing this? They should be focusing. They should be training. They should be out there getting slim and trim, not goofing around in someone's dressing room.
Why does everyone try to sneak into Jordan Devlin's dressing room? It's
pretty
AJ,
big.
It's Gallus. I mean, he does have a pretty big dressing room.
It's bigger than Ginny's. We saw Ginny's dressing room.
Yeah, he does have a pretty massive space for his dressing room. Also, a window in the door to the dressing room seems a little inappropriate. Kind of defeats the purpose.
The Irish Ace.
I mean, have a little shame, Jordan.
Right. Don't look. Yeah.
But yeah, why does everyone try to get into Jordan Devlin's dressing room all the time? He must have some banger coffee in there because they're always drinking his coffee too. So he must have a great coffee. Coffee sponsorships, let us know. We'll shout you out if you have. If you know me, I love coffee. Shout out Roasters, Bro Code 1. But we have but yeah, that match next week. How is it that somehow NXT UK is able to give us a takeover main event style match just about week in and week out? And I never get that feeling. So many people, they complain on the internet wrestling community Twitter boards or whatever they use about how this should be in a pay-per-view. This should be saved. This NXT UK, they give us what we want right away. It always feels like what we've been waiting for, even though I didn't know we were waiting for it. You know what I mean? It's just incredible. It's so that's going to be such a good match. I'm looking forward to it. Again, I think Jordan Devlin is the guy. I think he's going to be the face of the brand. I'm backing him in this one. But this is going to be a fun one.
I am with you too. And I think the pay-per-view thing comes from they don't really have the luxury of getting as much features on the main channel. They have to give you everything every week to get you to come back, which is kind of indie if you think about it. But I'm not going to say NXT UK is independent wrestling because I'll probably get flamed on Twitter. Just two quick questions before we move on. Charlie Dempsey is debuting next week, and Mustache Mountain versus Smith and Carter. Thoughts about these two developments?
I'm excited for the guy for Dempsey to debut. I've heard good things about it. But re-debut?
The former Bailey Matthews, William Regal's son, he was on 2 appearances, but he gets a new name.
New name, that's a debut. We're starting over.
Fair enough.
We're starting over. So I'm excited to see him. He comes from a great lineage. He's, I think...
Hard-working lineage?
A hard-working lineage.
He said it. William Regal works hard. He said it.
I thought you meant. I thought you were referring to the was it WCW where he had like the man's man.
Yeah, man's man.
Steven Regal. I thought you were referring to that whole thing. In any case, I'm excited to see him. I think he'll be great. As far as that tag team match, Smith versus Carter, or Smith and Carter versus Mustache Mountain. That's going to be fun. I think these are two teams that are both very talented and both on the rise. I think Carter and Smith, though, I think they have the edge here. One, they're coming off some wins, but also similar to Gallus, I don't know if you've noticed this about Mustache Mountain, but Trent Seven, very, very interested in getting that tag team run going again. But Tyler Bate, he's always talking about the Heritage Cup, always talking about the NXT title. he rarely is talking about the tag team titles. I think those two are not on the same page. And I think that is where Carter and Smith are going to get the upper hand. And I think they're going to win. And I think they're going to be the number one contenders for the tag team titles.
Well, using that logic, I'm agreeing with you. Smith and Carter, so many false starts from that brand, and I'm just calling a spade a spade. I like the guys, but sometimes in some weeks it's hard to show people why they're so great. This could be it. Mustache Mountain, whether you like him or not, are the class of the division, so this might be a whole different banger, but Pretty Deadly will be watching, probably at ringside, probably on top of the ramp doing their side plate checks and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, when you look as good as Pretty Deadly, if they're out there, it's going to be hard to watch the match and not look at them.
I walked right into that one. I am so sorry. Before we move on to NXT Prime or 2.0, whatever you're calling it now, Jack, any last words about UK this week?
Just another fantastic showing, man. If this is your first show, I think you got a good one. Hopefully, everyone who's watching this, again, I say it week in and week out. If you're listening to this show because you like hearing about NXT 2.0, make sure to tune into NXT UK. It's so good, especially the longer you watch it. It's the most consistent show in wrestling. Everyone on it is great. We have our favorites. I have my favorites, obviously, but I love everyone on this show, and everyone should be tuning into it.
So now we go over to NXT 2.0, and I actually made a little joke about this on Twitter, but I'm actually serious. Now, I understand we love the whole idea of finding new stars, developing, being on board before people blow up. But there were so many debuts this week on NXT. I had to take a running note. I have 8 debuts, not counting people just backstage chatting. And that is a lot for a fan to take who's not having a notepad in front of them. So before we get to the matches today, because there are many of them, because all these matches kind of end in squashes, if I could be so bold. Jack, just talk about the debuts, talk about the second week of NXT 2.0. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, the debuts are a little too fast and a little too furious. They're happening too often, in my opinion. Now, I like all of them being on there, but there was, I think, 2 different cases where there was a female wrestler being interviewed, and then just a random new female walked up and said, by the way, we're going to fight next week, and then walked off. And it was like the exact same setup. And if I'm a new fan, I'm even as someone who is taking notes, I'm forgetting who was there, what their names was, what they're doing. It's too much to keep track of. And
yeah,
I like seeing these new faces, but you can give me some time to bring these people in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't need to put every single person on right away. And that said, I thought this episode from the Ciampa intro throughout, this felt like the first episode of NXT 2.0.
Fair.
This felt like how they should have introduced it, in the sense that it felt a little more like they were actually telling us this is the new show, this is how it's going to be, etc. So I liked it in that regard. But to your point, and even before you mentioned it, I remember thinking, I have no idea what's going on here. There's so many new people doing so many things, and you could have drugged this out a little bit and made it a little easier to digest.
I agree with you. Let's take some shots from the crowd. Elliot Fletcher says, Bron Breakker is the guy. I think so. It's pretty much set up that way, but I always wonder about wrestling fans repulsing that and be like, they're shoving him down my throat. Hasn't happened yet, but I worry about that. And Lamb says, too many debuts at the same time makes you worry about upcoming releases of established talents. Well, any sports team has to have their rosters fresh and pruning, and it is a fact of life. But you're right. When you see so many new characters, my old best friend, now current enemy, Jack Farmer, used to say, you're not here for a spot, you're here to take a spot. So you got to make sure you have room for someone else. So new guys, people come in, there may be some releases on the horizon. That's the way it is.
Yeah, it's a sad reality. Hopefully, I never like anyone to lose their job. It's a terrible thing. And you don't want to see it. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But yeah, it makes you wonder, if you're going to bring in this many people, what are they going to do to make time? And most of the ways you make time is you take people off. You get rid of people who are on time,
The show is only 2 hours long, and I got 33 chance of winning. Okay, so our main event this week was Pete Dunne and Rich Holland against Tommaso Ciampa and Bron Breakker, because Ciampa is definitely someone who works well with others all of a sudden. Sorry, Thamisi Thatcher. But Bron Breakker got the pin. He got to win. He beat I can't believe this. I mean, talk about giving someone a rocket ship. This is so giving someone both thrusters at the same time. The main event was good. It was solid. Wasn't impactful as UK side this week, in my opinion. But Jack, talk about this one.
I was so bummed out Bron Breakker didn't win with the Steiner recliner. That, to me, just feels like it should be his thing, but I guess you can't.
He's not a Steiner. He's a breaker.
You call it the back breaker. I don't know. The 2Ks.
The back breaker.
Whatever.
Trademark.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you needed evidence that Bron Breakker was the guy, this again was it. And within 2 days, when we started the new NXT UK or when we started the new NXT 2.0, there were 4 people fighting for that NXT title. And right now, in 2 weeks, Bron Breakker has a win over 2 of them. I mean, within a week, maybe next week, he beats Von Wagner. And then maybe he says, it's time for me to have a match with Ciampa. At what point do you say, dude, you are the contender at this point? He is the guy. I think he's got everything you want to be the guy. I think he's exciting. He's fun. It's 2 weeks in. So, as you said, hedge your bets a little bit. But
sure.
Right now, he seems to be firing on all cylinders. He seems to have a personality that's going to work well on that brand. He has the look. He can wrestle well. I think he checks just enough of the boxes with his lineage that us jaded wrestling fans will still like to see him because he is who he is. But he's fantastic. He steals the show every week.
So you're not worried about the F word, forced. You're not worried about him seeming forced that he's in the main event. 2 main events in a row in his relaunch, hand held high every week. Well, not last week, but you know what I'm saying. Like, does that feel like it's inorganic to you at all?
It won't happen until he starts beating people we love. I know there are certain people we like, like a Pete Dunne. We like Pete Dunne, but we also know he's struggled to get a shot at that title. So him losing in this spot didn't feel like the worst thing ever. But I think once he starts going through some of the biggest fan favorites and beating them and stopping them on their rise, that's when we're going to really see if people love him or if they like the idea of him.
Ooh, that's savage. I like the idea of you, but that's a very astute assessment because here's something I like the idea of, but not it necessarily. The debut of collectively known as Toxic Attraction, which sounds, right out of 2006 ECW. Let's be honest with you. But yeah. Mandy Rose, GG Dolan, and JC Jane have a promo. They look pretty great, besides a little slip-up of saying badly and beaten. That's fine. But I like this group. I like the attitude. I like the savagery. I like the fact that Io and Zoe are watching. But what is up with that name, bro?
Toxic, I think it's fine. I get what you're saying. It is 2006 ECW. I'm not... the thing with names is... with group names, I feel like it has to be easier than what else you would call them if they didn't have a name. Like Mandy's group is easier to say than Toxic Attraction. Right. So I feel like I'll end up saying Mandy's group more than I say Toxic Attraction. Right. So I think Toxic Attraction does sound like the band name that would use Magical Fisticuffs as their album. Yeah. I like this group. I like the look. I like everything they did. They are a bit similar to Diamond Mine, though, in the
yeah,
you're a group. Okay, what are you doing? Are you going after titles? Because that's everybody.
Right.
Are you going after titles, but you look cool? Like you just look edgy. You're the subculture of NXT 2.0. Like if that's what it is, cool. But what I got, I didn't really get that from the promo. It's just I like all of them. They're great. They're great together. But what are they? Is what I left with.
Absolutely. So I was perusing realjackfarmer.threadless.com for some sweet merchandise. And I said, what's great about this is that Jack Farmer logo is something that's so iconic. You can just stamp it, bam, you know exactly what it is. And the best groups in wrestling, their names are things you can chant and cheer. New Day Rocks, MSK. How do I cheer? Toxic Attraction.
Well, there you go.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Absolution at least has a rhythm. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm just putting it out there.
Toxic Attraction does. It sounds fun. It's not quite alliteration, but it's kind of fun to say Toxic Attraction.
I guess I'm just nitpicking. I'm picking all the nits.
But you're right. Toxic Attraction would be an interesting one to chant. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what they are. But if it's just we're trying to become the tag team champions, then okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they look cool together, like I said, but is there something more to them than just we all look edgy?
Real quick, are you still on board with Mandy being in NXT?
Yeah, I think so. I think Mandy has a star power to her, so I think giving her a chance to showcase is a good thing.
Cool. The other match of merit, which sounds terrible to say, but it clearly the title was on the line here. Roderick Strong of Diamond Mine against Kushida, someone we haven't seen as often, and it was pretty much played up for laughs that Kushida was a running away champion and Roderick Strong would be a fighting champion. But we do have a new cruiserweight champ, and Diamond Mine has her first piece of silverware. Looks like everything's coming up Roderick Strong, but Grayson Waller appears after the match. Now, Jack, 2 questions for you. Thoughts about the new cruiserweight champ and Roderick Strong, and what is Grayson Waller doing, mate?
Oh man, this match was an absolute banger. These guys are so good. It was awesome to see Roderick Strong out there do what he does best. It was great to see Kushida wrestling again. And these guys delivered on a match that feels like it's been building up for a long time. And I'm really happy for Roderick Strong getting the championship here. The kind of takeaway from it for me, though, was that with all the changes, this felt a little bit like oh yeah, we need to tie up this loose end.
Ellie agrees with you, by the way.
Yeah, it felt like they're like, oh shoot, we said this was gonna happen. We got to do it. Let's just do it, get it done with, and then we'll move on into a different direction. So hopefully we get to see more of Kushida. I like Kushida. I don't know what is next for him after this. Grayson, wildly entertaining. I love Grayson.
You would.
Like I said, he reminds me of one of the Logan Paul or Jake Paul. I always mix those two guys up, but it reminds me of those guys and how I think he's just going to be an obnoxious dude. I'm very excited to see him interact with people. And I think he's going to be a good foil for someone like Diamond Mine because he's also kind of got that fighter kind of vibe to him. But he's less serious about it. So it'll be fun to see him take him on. I'm excited for that.
Well, one of the things I really like about you, Jack Farmer, you have an eye for talent in the future because the farmer's market is never wrong. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk.
Correct.
Grayson Waller, if you were a Phantom GM, would you buy him? Would you put him in your roster? Fair enough. I think he's pretty solid.
Because I think he's someone that whether you love him or hate him, you're going to feel that way right away. And I think that's a good thing to have on the roster. If you put him across from anybody, you know whether or not you're rooting for him or against him. And that's a very powerful thing in pro wrestling.
Okay, so I'm taking a deep breath here. Draped in Gold, drapedingold.com. There were a lot of matches that happened this week on NXT. I'm going to try to go through them all, but a lot of them left me going, huh? So, Jack, I'm relying on your expertise, your knowledge of the wrestling arts and sciences to navigate me this. Mm-hmm. Cool?
Yeah.
All right. So, when that person that made a couple appearances, Amari Miller, had a match against Kaylee Ray, and we said weeks ago that Kaylee Ray deserves to be in NXT. I have to ask, does she have a spot on NXT 2.0?
Yes. Kaylee Ray, forever champion here in NXT UK, but for NXT 2.0, she's just getting started. She's just starting to carve that spot out. I think, if anything, the change in NXT happening earlier in her run in NXT 2.0 is better because now she can build the division her way in a way that fits within that NXT 2.0 brand. I think she's going to be just as big as she ever was. I think she's definitely someone who's going to take off. She's a huge talent. Big fan of her. As far as Amari goes, she's fun. I like seeing her out there too.
Bubbles, bro. She had bubbles. I was so happy. I was
Can't say no to bubbles.
Yo, you're right. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm getting popping over bubbles. We're seeing a lot of Amari Miller. She has
popping over bubbles.
Oh, it's a pun. I'm so sorry, guys. You know I hate those things. I didn't mean it. It was totally unintentional. No. But whatever. It's fine. Elliot Fletcher says, Amari Miller is very good. She had a good match with Tina Feroz on 205 Lives. Valentina Feroz, a former Rita Rice. Yeah, Amari Miller is just great. I do think there's a lot of space and division for her. It was a bit jarring to see her basically get into a backstage fight with Kaylee Ray that come out to bubbles. But hey, you don't get to make your theme song. It's okay. I'm sure she has a spot on the new NXT 2.0. I'm guessing here.
I usually don't do this, but could you highlight Dylan Matthews' comment and read it for me real quick?
The last one?
Yeah.
Dylan Matthews says, Kaylee Ray, a future forever champion in NXT Prime. Just ask Kushida. He knows.
Do you know how Kushida knows?
No, Jack. How does Kushida knows?
Because he's been to the future.
Shut up! He's not a time traveler. He's a time splitter. It's different.
He knows. He's seen. He went as far into the future as he can, and Kaylee Ray is still the champion.
You know what? I never liked you, man. Speaking about people I don't really like. No, I'm just kidding. I love everybody. So we got a little bit more of a character development from one Joe Gacy. Looks like he's looking for a safe space in the middle of the ring. But Cameron Grimes came out, a bastion of the old NXT, pretty much beat him down handedly. But Joe seemed to love it. Want a bit of a touchy-feely hug after the fact. Well, I got creepy vibes. Sunday school vibes in my case. But Jack Farmer, walk me through this. What's Joe JC about? What is Cameron Grimes about? And is this the next chapter of Cameron Grimes going to the moon?
This Joe Gacy character, I like to compare stocks and things. He's a Bitcoin, man. He is either going to this safe space, hugs, no toxic masculinity character is either going to be the hottest, biggest thing going, or it is going to crash and burn very hard. There's not going to be a middle ground. Either it's going to really be huge or it's just not going to work. So I am very excited to see where this goes. I was really glad to see Cameron Grimes get the win as well, because this was not things haven't been great for veterans on NXT 2.0 lately. So I was kind of worried that this may have tilted the hand on where Cameron Grimes sit, but seeing him get the win was a good sign for me. In fact, I was thinking, now that I think about it, very much like, and I'm going to use the old WCW historian side of me. If you remember when the New Blood showed up in WCW, and it was all just young guys like Kidman beating up guys like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, wrestling.
Yeah, so he I feels a little bit like that. So the fact that Cameron Grimes got a win over Joe Gacy, I think says a lot about Cameron Grimes. But Joe Gacy, he's gonna be one to watch. Like I said, either crash and burn, or, for lack of a better word, to the moon.
I got to give it to Joe Gacy. Here's a match. Excuse me. By the time this match aired, I was kind of adjusting my expectations of what to expect with NXT. I know last week was a pilot. I'm not trying to say it was a bad thing, but it's like, okay, this is the flavor we're going to get. But he launched a springboard clothesline that instantly drew me into the match. So I know Joe Gacy has what it takes here. I guess the question I have is, I'm not sure still, and this is, I guess, is a bigger problem for NXT. Who's this for? Is it for younger audiences? Because that character seems very mature. Or is it going to be, and there's rumors swirling about it being a more mature product? But if that's the case, we're still awash in color. Not to say colors are bad. I'm just a little confused of what to expect every week.
Yeah, the rumors are it's supposed to be more adult, but it does not look adult. It does not feel adult. I would not tell my friends that are, like adults that haven't watched wrestling, like, hey, this is cool, it's edgy, and have them tune in and see this. I think they would be like, what are you talking about? This looks like it's for kids. It looks very Nickelodeon to me, and that's fine. But I do not think anyone's going to look at this and go, oh, this is an edgy show.
Yeah, for now. I mean, something could change. Death matches next week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and again, it's week 2. Like, but I'm just saying, as of this minute, I mean, it doesn't feel edgy to me.
Speaking of someone with a little bit of edge to her, Elektra Lopez had a match against Anna Shearer. The match is pretty quick. Even though I had Mercedes Martinez vibes or Raquel Gonzalez vibes, this is a different presentation altogether. But it seems to me, talking about leftover storylines, this Hit Row Legato feud is still rolling on. Is it weird? Is it because of the break and change? It feels longer than it has been? Or are you still on board? How do you feel about this one?
I was actually thinking that too. It feels like it's been this has been going on for a very long time. It feels like they've had their blow off match too, and now this is just kind of continuing on. This feels like when you beat a video game and then you get the DLC and there's like an extra thing where you get to play as new characters.
On point, exactly.
Like that's what this feels like to me. I think Elektra Lopez looks strong. She looks very strong. I do not think it's a good sign for BFAB if you got to get in a ring with her.
No.
But I was saying, I was thinking this as I was watching this, and I mean no disrespect to anyone, because I'm a big fan of Swerve. I like MSK. It feels like there's a lot of champions right now that are kind of missing in action, though. Like, if I didn't bring it up just now, I think if I said, hey, who's the North American champion, we'd all have to think for a second, go, wait, who is? Oh, yeah, it's Swerve.
True. No, you're absolutely right.
I think the same thing goes for the tag titles, MSK. I mean, it's weird because they're great. Everyone loves them. I don't know why it just doesn't feel like they're not. Maybe it's the change in brands again. I don't know. It doesn't feel like I think of who they are as champions.
Well, I do think in the way it's structured this week, especially, there's just so many. Well, back in the day, we would call them feature matches. Like when you watch like WWF superstars, they'd be like two guys you don't know about, and like the one like mid carder against a nobody. That's what it felt like all day. Not in a bad way, but it can't be an every week thing. So yes, week 2, you're establishing guys like Trey Baxter and Dante Chen. We were talking about now in just a second. But yes, our champions are on the sidelines in their own brand going, so what up, homie? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. Dante Chen, I guess the first ever Singaporean wrestler that WWE has signed against Trey Baxter, with Dante Chen getting the quick win. 2 things that came from this. 1, Dante Chen is okay. And 2, Trey Baxter has a girlfriend? What?
Yeah. I thought Dante Chen looked good. He seemed cool. Like his entrance gear looked cool. I think it's very cool that it's the first wrestler from Singapore to be on the brand. Anytime you get someone who's never done it before, I think that's cool. And
Absolutely.
I'm very happy to see that. I'm happy to see him get a shot. And he looks the part. Like he looks like a big dude. He's fast, all that stuff. So I'm excited to see more of him. Like I've said a few times, now that I've seen him and know he's great, now I want to see him get dirty a little bit. I want to see him an emotional thing or a real fight against someone who's, as I would say, a ranked person, someone who it has been on TV a bit. Trey, but Trey Baxter, he came in looking like a big name when he came in. Like he was a big get for NXT. But it seems like he's kind of struggling to live up to those expectations right now. Maybe with the change, but you're right. He does have a girlfriend. That's always a good sign. In wrestling, by the way, I'm not just saying that. It is a good sign if we're seeing your relationship backstage. It means you've got things going on. You're interesting. But you notice she's, Cora Jade, she says, she implied that Dante Chen was a superhero. And Baxter got to thinking after she left, I have a feeling we might see old Trey Baxter put a mask on his head and become a superhero of his own.
But why? 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 He's great. Why?
Well, if I'm looking at WWE Raw, I see someone's almost a superhero, and she's winning titles and money in the banks and all that other stuff. So if I'm seeing that, I'm going, hey, maybe I'll become almost a superhero myself.
Fine, Trey ASH. It's a whole new stable, 3 different brands, all ASHs, fighting no crime in particular. Forget it.
Trey Ash sounds a little bit too much like trash.
That guy is Trey Ash.
Trash.
I love it. It's so good. Elsewhere, we had a handicap match. Kerry Millman and Darren Chiappetta, I can't even say took on. They were in the ring as Odyssey Jones destroyed them in a very quick and handed match. Odyssey Jones, a lot of people say they like him. Reminds me of that dude Jeff from the Virtual Fighting games. Has all the tools, has a little bit of that energy, a lot of that energy. Is he the guy? Is he going to really be the first guy to break out that breakout tournament?
A lot of people have high hopes for him, and I do too. I think I saw a thing online somewhere. I don't even know how accurate it was, but I'm just going to say it was accurate. He's the heaviest guy in WWE right now.
I believe so.
And I think
crazy. You're
right. He's got all the tools. He looks like a fun person. He looks like he's easy to cheer for. All those good things. Again, though, I need to see him get into. I'm a little bummed out that he lost the breakout tournament and isn't saying I want my win back from Carmelo Hayes. I'm kind of bummed out that he lost the tournament and said I'm just going to go party with the wedding folks and I'm going to go have a match against these guys and laugh and whatever. and not be like, hey, man, I lost in a big spot. I got to come back and try to get a win back against Carmelo Hayes.
Hold on. So you mean to tell me you're going to be like, I want revenge? And if I said, hey, Jack, you want to ride in a limo and throw axes all afternoon, you're going to say no?
If I ever lose a match to Carmelo Hayes, I would say no to going out and having fun.
I don't believe it whatsoever. Why have the suits, Jack? Why have the suits?
Because I would never be in a match with Carmelo Hayes, Flobo.
True, because you're not about it.
No, I'm not.
But after this match,
I'm about it.
I'm just about it. Please, yes. Andre Chase, who's doing like a Thatch Can meets Bobby Knight at Nebraska vibe, was watching the matchup. Looks like Odyssey and Andre Chase on a collision course. How do you think about Andre Chase and all this and the eventual feud?
Watching the Chase University, I was thinking that's a bad sign for Thatch Can, because it's basically the same thing, just presented differently. So, you and I have talked about this, the whole like training people and teaching people how to wrestle and things like that. I don't know. I guess we're still getting to know him, so I guess there's more I want to see. But I don't know. We'll see. I think that I want to see him in the ring with Odyssey Jones. I want to see him wrestle a little bit. Because Eddie Dennis is a schoolmaster and he's great, but I know that he can get it done in the ring. I gotta see Chase get it done in the ring.
It seems very similar gimmicks. Like if I was Eddie Dennis, I'd be like, hey, hey.
Yeah, I'd be a little frustrated too. But I mean, Eddie Dennis is top notch though, so that's he doesn't have to worry about anyone else trying to do his thing.
Fair enough. I guess if you want to be that guy to lick the boots of Eddie Dennis, but it's okay because you and him are friends apparently.
I'll lick those boots.
Jack, I got an extra large edition of burning questions for you because I was confused throughout this week on NXT. I need your help to navigate this. I think you have like 10, 15 questions, bro. Like you just knock these out because we're big fans of the brand. We're here next week. We're not complaining about it, but there's some things that I need your opinion on. All right, number one, asking again, why is Carmelo a heel all of a sudden?
I don't know. I find him to be a very likable person. I want to cheer for him. I don't know why. It's weird that he's winning, doing great, and then suddenly going, I need to quit being a pushover. I feel like he was the classic, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I don't get it. I don't know. I'm still a fan of him, but I don't really get why he's changed. He was on a better roll when he wasn't doing this.
I agree. I feel like there's something cool. I guess I'm a goal setter mark because Del Rio was the same way. Like someone was just really good at what they do and very crisp at what they do. And you go, oh, this guy's undeniable. But now you're like, oh, it's really easy not like this guy.
I've always been the same way. I was a huge, I would say Shelton Benjamin was one of my favorites back in the day. I love Lance Storm. I love those guys who were just really good in the ring. And I think Carmelo Hayes was that guy, but he was also cool. So it's, I don't know what the change is. I don't, we'll see, but I feel like right now Trick is that guy that is like, and maybe this is what it is. Trick is that guy, like when you have the athlete and they're a great athlete, let's say, and they're going to be a great football player, but they have that friend that gets them into trouble. That is the guy that they shouldn't be hanging out with, but they're like, no, he's been my friend my whole life. And but you shouldn't be hanging out with him. He's going to get you in trouble. I feel like that's kind of what we're seeing with Trick and Carmelo right now.
I know you're going to make this into a whole political thing, but isn't Regal going to punish Dunn and Holland for beating up O'Reilly?
Of course not. I don't think he even knew that happened. William Regal doesn't even know he was probably just like, I don't know what he does. He was probably playing some tower defense game on his phone. And when this
Von Wagner, you're in the match.
What? Someone got hurt? We lost someone in the 4-way match? You're in there, sir. He's like, I'm the janitor. Oh, you're in there. Me? I'm a wrestler.
Terrible.
Are you a wrestler?
Terrible.
Yes, I'm a wrestler. What's your name? Von Wagner. Oh, okay. You're in there.
How dare you besmirch the best general manager ever. Moving on. He's going to sue us probably. How big should the Diamond Mine roster be?
I don't know. How long is a piece of rope?
Fair enough, because it's going to go on forever. Why not? As a fashion icon, Jack, what do you make of Malcolm Bivens' suit?
I loved it. I thought it was fun. I thought it looked good. I thought it stood out in an age where you have to have crazy designs all over your suit to stand out. He looked good with one that was simple.
Is Tony D'Angelo Razor Ramon?
There's only one Razor Ramon.
A diplomatic answer. I love it. What do you make of this? Lashing out with Last Legend, the brand new talk show coming next week?
So we know that there are changes to the production. I hate talk shows in the middle of these shows. The only one I like, the only one that I'm really into is Supernova Sessions. I love Supernova Sessions. Don't get me wrong. But all the other ones, and it doesn't matter how good the people are. Like, I like Kevin Owens, but I'm not a fan of the KO show, not a fan of Miz TV, not a fan of Moist TV. This is the one where I go, okay, this is that new production coming in to do a talk show. I'm not excited about it just because I never really like these, unless you're Supernova Sessions, because that is must-see TV, Supernova Sessions.
I think that's the biggest difference. I know people talk about like the WWE footprint NXT. I think having a talk show and I'm not even against them because some of the good ones are great. Like the Highlight Reel was one of the good ones. Piper's Pit was one of the good ones. But you're right, it does seem very WWE to have a talk show segment. Abraham Washington, yes, I actually like that show because how awkward it was, but it's hard to like advocate that because you know what got Abraham Washington removed.
Yeah. By the way, when you're saying I like Piper's Pit, I think it shows just how rare these hit.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm just saying, bro.
Yeah.
I like Ding Dong Hello's my favorite right now. Currently, when
that's
she was
pretty
not
good.
injured.
That was pretty good too.
But there's a lot of guys that or gals that get talk shows. You're like a Moment of Bliss. I was like, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Brooks and Jensen seem like a lame gimmick, but I think they're going to make it work. What say you?
I love this. I thought it was great. I like how they explained how they met and how they met in a bar fight and just kind of earned each other's respect, beating each other up. It felt very old school. It made them seem tough. It was very simple. It was interesting. It worked. I thought this was really well done.
We talked about this on our sister show, MacMania, a Spotify original airing every Tuesday in the Ring of Wrestling Show Podcast Network RSS feed. But is LA Knight buried?
I don't think he's necessarily buried. I think with the draft, I just have a feeling he's not long for NXT. I think that's what's going on. And they're saying to themselves, look, you're going to be gone in a few weeks. Time to use what we can use you for, and then you're going to be off to the races.
Got two more for you. We talk about Ciampa, but I got a feeling that Cameron Grimes is the bridge between 1.0 and 2.0. What do you think?
That's a fair assessment. I think that's a fair comment. I mean, Ciampa, I don't think he's a bridge. I think he's the old guard. He's exactly the old guard, and I think that's why he was there talking in the beginning. He was giving his Triple H speech. He was being the Triple H. What Triple H was to the old NXT, Ciampa is going to be to this new NXT.
Alicia Darling says, did they say what happened to the $1 million title? So physically, the real championship is with DiBiase, and Cameron Grimes has a replica. That's why he doesn't wear it down to the ring. But WWE.com still recognizes Grimes as a $1 million champion, so he still has the title, but not the belt. I'm not sure if that's officially, but that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
And lastly, next week, Frankie Monet versus Raquel Gonzalez. Who you got?
This one's tough. Because
things are changing.
Because things are changing.
Draft is happening.
I am going to say Frankie Monet.
Oh, new champ.
I think new champ. I also think Raquel is going to be headed to another brand very soon.
It would make sense. I mean, then the draft is next week on SmackDown and Raw. Raw needs some bodies, not women's division. It could possibly do it, but is Frankie Monet the one you put the championship on?
I mean, I think it's just. I think the timing is what it is. I'll go even further. I think Raquel is going to be working with Eva Marie to get some revenge on Doudrop. That's my super detailed prediction. But
There are worse things.
I think she's going to join Eva Marie, and Eva Marie is going to say, okay, I'm going to get someone who's even more powerful than you are. Doudrop.
But that means you got to wait 2 more weeks to stretch out the whole Doudrop storyline because they've already had the match twice, at least twice.
Technically 3 times. I mean, technically twice, but one time was the exact same thing that ended in no contest.
So I'm with you. I like the idea, but then you have to do the whole like cage match or interrupting my match between or whatever.
Does that really sound that far-fetched?
It does not. Now it's time for my favorite part of the show, the MVP of NXT. It's that one person that sticks out for you that really put in the extra work, NXTUK or NXT. A lot to choose from this week because there are a lot of matches. Jack, what say you?
A-Kid with a bullet. He won. He got a shot. He earned a shot at the title. He beat 2 guys who are incredibly tough to beat. I don't know how you don't put him there because he did something that, one, from just an official perspective, he's a number 1 contender. How do you not now give him that due recognition?
Right.
I was going to say due diligence, but that's
credit where credit's due.
Credit where credit's due. But it wasn't like he beat a couple of chumps either. I mean, he not only did he beat 2 big powerhouse names, but they had an incredible matchup. So I got to go A-Kid here.
Well, I agree with you. Wrestling-wise, it's A-Kid. There's no other competition that comes to that. But my MVP is for a character thing, and it's the promo Iki Manjuro had about his closet. And you're probably saying, Flobito, why? Because that's how you build a character in this 2.0 world, because you're not getting prime target for a long time. I thought it was pretty cool, and I want to see more of Iki Manjuro because it means handsome. I respect that.
I like it.
Well, it's our mark. We hit the hour, so we're going to get out of here at Draped and Gold at drapedandgold.com. Every Thursday, we talk about NXT UK and NXT Talk. Jack Farmer of the World wants to see you online. How do they go about doing that?
You can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. I'm on the MacMania podcast, as Flobo mentioned, a Spotify original on the Ringer Podcast Network. Also doing Elite of the Week, counting down the top 10 wrestlers of the of AEW. Anytime Radio, by the way, counting down the top 20 songs of the week. I like counting down things. I guess that's just what I'm into.
Apparently, yeah.
And also, finally, I'm going to say Evolution of Movies is a show that I've been doing that's been picking up some steam. It's where me and my buddies, we watch a movie and then we just chat about it. But we call it Evolution Movies because we go year by year. So we started in 1990. Then the next week we did 91, 92, 93. We just did 2009. And this next week, we're going to be doing 2010, a movie called Scott Pilgrim versus the World. We're going to chat about, Flobo, and that's
top 3, baby.
Talk about it with you here on the show. We're going to be talking all about Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So if you want to join in on this discussion, watch the movie and then listen to us break it all down. It's fun.
Yeah, if you want to read the comic book too, it's awesome. Where people can interact with that show? Where are you guys located for that?
The best thing to do is just follow me at Real Jack Farmer, but we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff.
What can't Jack do, y'all? Always a pleasure, Mr. Dylan Matthews. Appreciate you, Jeff King. That does it for me as well, because, I saw the show together. Draped and Gold, that cuts away Flobito. Flobito.com is the website. That's what people call me from the AfterBuzz era. But you can also know about the shows that I'm hosting, like this one, at newamsterdam.com. That's KNEW Amsterdam.com. That does it for us. But until next week, Jack Farmer, say the words.
Do your best and be yourself.